Joseph Murphy taught for decades that material wealth is not an accident, but determined by the dominant vibrational frequency that someone builds in their mental field. When Murphy observed families that struggled against prolonged monetary difficulties, he noticed an intriguing yet unsettling pattern. These families kept, without realizing it, an energetic field of financial lack that resurfaced generation after generation, like a corrupted file playing permanently the same frequency of lack. Murphy designated this mechanism as vibrational transmission. He stated that every family possesses an emotional pattern linked to financial resources, a frequency that transmits itself through conduct, silent beliefs and feelings regarding monetary limitations. This transmitted frequency acts like a hidden code, deciding not solely what amount a person can save, but as well as their deep relationship with fortune. Murphy perceived that several of the monetary impediments that he noticed did not stem from lack of capacity or adverse luck, but solely in the transmitted frequency that each person assumed since childhood. This revelation completely changed the approach in which Murphy approached financial change. In place of guiding just money-making techniques or investment techniques, Murphy directed himself towards a deeper truth, altering the vibrational energy concerning money that each individual inherited from their family. Murphy described extraordinary stories of beings who succeeded to overcome this transmitted frequency, employing precise systems of mental reprogramming. One of these cases dealt with a merchant known as Roberto, whose family heritage faced a systematic pattern of bankruptcy that lasted through generations. His grandfather had experienced the loss of everything in a disastrous speculation. His direct ancestor had gone through failed ventures, and Roberto, even if working obsessively, found himself recreating the same destructive pattern. Every time he achieved gathering an expressive sum of money, an occurrence was triggered in an inexplicable way, and the individual saw everything vanish. It was as if an invisible force was an unseen power harming his rational attempts. Murphy dedicated himself to training Roberto for consecutive periods, showing him a central teaching that would be central in all his work. The subconscious psyche does not distinguish between wealth you achieved and wealth your ancestors believed to be worthy. If within you inhabits the energy that money brings risk, that evolving economically is dangerous, that financial tranquility is deceptive or a lie. Thus your unconscious mind will work tirelessly to keep you in this frequency, since it constitutes the absolute truth. The unconscious does not ask questions. It just fulfills the programs that were programmed in your psyche through family history. Roberto finally grasped that he was not complacent or inadequate. He was programmed, and psychic structures can be deconditioned. Murphy clarified that when you modify the vibration that prevails in your being, you alter the order that you give to your hidden psyche. It is similar to reconfiguring a device that was operating with obsolete software, which is harmful. If the software finds itself adjusted to receive solely a determined sum of patrimony, then it will constitute exactly what you will earn, apart from how much energy you dedicate. Murphy attested this truth via intensive visualization practices that he had formulated over years. He advised his students to spend 5 to 10 minutes every morning, preferably right upon waking when the consciousness remains in a receptive alpha state, conjuring the image of not solely the entry of patrimony in their journey, but mainly the internal living of security, genuine confidence and dignity that follows this arrival. Murphy stated unequivocally that this sensation constituted the authentic key. It was not the money alone that was essential for the change. It constituted the energy that the being instituted in relation to money. With Roberto, Murphy set in motion a process that he termed ancestral vibrational transmutation, a practice that he had refined through countless successful cases. Roberto had to, during 2 months, reserve 15 minutes every night before sleeping in deep meditation. In this state, Roberto should recognize in a conscious way the complete financial history of his family tree. He should visualize his close ancestor facing the financial catastrophe, his progenitor struggling with failed ventures, and all this ancestral lineage who preceded him carrying like patterns. Then, internally, Roberto should enunciate with genuine feeling, "I admit what you lived. I tribute with admiration the pain you carried. I value the path you walked and the obstacles you overcame. Yet at this moment, in this sacred space, I release this resonance of scarcity from my core. I institute a new vibration for my family. Henceforth, in my living, movement of wealth, abundance, and economic security represent the central pattern that rules my decisions and my world. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy formulated a principle that he referred to as Law of Vibrational Correspondence, a truth that he had tested in countless cases. This axiom asserts that the exterior environment always responds perfectly to the dominant psyche. If in your interior you resonate with genuine fear of poverty, then the surrounding environment will show continuously situations that amplify this terror and ratify your limiting thought. If inside you there exists authentic confidence in your natural abundance, then the external circumstances will manifest possibilities that nourish and increase this faith. The most revolutionary aspect of this law is that it performs without considering your current situation or your antecedents. Someone who carries heavy debts, who transforms their vibrational state to plenty, will give start over weeks to notice small changes that are apparent. These changes are always subtle in the initial phases, but are signalers of a real transformation. An unexpected cost is impeded inasmuch as you choose to not make a hasty acquisition. An occasion presents itself because you found yourself in higher emotional frequency to dialogue with someone important. Your complete self commences to oscillate in a new pattern. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To create this vibrational change that was continuous and deep, Murphy developed a method divided into 3 phases that he considered absolutely essential for success. The first phase is what Murphy termed conscious ancestral recognition, and he insisted that it was ineffective to advance without fulfilling sincerely this initial phase. In this phase, you need to dedicate time genuinely welcoming the complete financial trajectory of your family. This does not mean accusing your predecessors or despising them with negative feeling. It means just understanding with crystal clarity what they endured, the emotional lesions that they endured, the formattings that they established as a survival strategy in difficult times. Murphy observed that many individuals tried to ignore this uncomfortable narrative, strived to pretend it did not exist, and this obstructed irreversibly the deep transformation. It continues being totally impossible to become free from something you refuse consciously to see. Murphy guided his clients to begin this simple practice, which is transforming. At dusk, preferably before sleep when the mind finds itself more permeable, position yourself in complete silence. Inhale and exhale consciously repeatedly. And on the mental plane, reflect deeply on your lineage. See the images of your ancestors. Recognize the obstacles that they endured. Say on the mental plane with authenticity a declaration like, "I admit that you, my male ancestor, faced deep losses that produced intense fear in your mind. I admit that you, my grandmother, created preservation tools that were shared successively over generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet, and becomes something you see with absolute clarity, and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words, but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance. From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow." Murphy clarified that this declaration works since it creates a new power in your interior. You are not repudiating your ancestors or your past. You stay just exercising your sacred right as a knowing entity who is independent to choose a new frequency. Murphy had witnessed diverse cases validated where this confession, when done with true emotional sincerity, engendered an energetic cut so strong and transforming that visible modifications began in a few days. He maintained noted instances where clients shared vibrant dreams and extraordinary ones moments after the declaration. Dreams in which their forebears seemed to accept this change with quiet approval and energetic approval. Despite the fact that Murphy revealed himself a systematic investigator who was meticulous in his general methodology, he understood that there remained manifestations that transcended merely material understanding and analytical logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he preserved this sharp image and lived, Murphy taught with conviction. Say internally, with total conviction, "My supreme vibrational state now is awakened abundance. My physical being resonates completely with economic security. My hidden psyche finds itself totally reformatted to welcome in an ample way, to be worthy fully and to sustain indefinitely fullness. My aura remains aligned impeccably with opportunity, unlimited flow, and infinite elevation. The scarcity that was inherited eclipsed itself fully permanently. The opulence that represents my original divine heritage establishes itself now as the permanent situation of my existence. Murphy emphasized absolutely that these words must be said not mechanically out of habit or lightly, but with real intensity of feeling, with truth that springs from the chest, as if you were proclaiming the supreme truth and basic of your complete journey. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage, the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy recommended that this third stage be practiced constantly, day after day, absolutely without pauses, for a minimum of 40 days in a row. He had determined 40 days, given that he had observed in numerous cases that it was exactly the necessary period for a new resonance to firm itself fully as the preponderant frequency in the core of the deep being. The first 14 days concern establishment and installation of the transformed energy. The new frequency still feels fragile and transitory. It still disputes powerfully with the old frequencies that fight to continue. In days 15 to 28, something essentially transforms and emancipates itself. The new vibration starts little by little to reach true power, to perceive more organic and true, more essential to your heart. Between days 29 and 40, the new vibration at last consolidates itself as the dominant pattern that determines your choices. Ended 40 days of consistent practice and genuine commitment, Murphy identified that his clients described an emotional alteration so significant that it was observable even to outside spectators. The fear that paralyzes about money dwindled deeply until disappearing. The guilt of achieving success and welcoming dissolved itself integrally. A security which was calm, transforming, and unshakable in the financial future initiated to sprout spontaneously from your essence. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed. Not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly. An unexpected expense that was providentially avoided. A casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins always with small synchronicities indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy accentuated an essential component that many neglected totally during their implementation. In this interval of 40 days of disciplined practice, the concrete acts similarly have fundamental weight. The frequency establishes the adequate soil. However, you still lack to develop the bravery to proceed. If a possibility surges on your course, you have to possess the bravery to take advantage of it sincerely. If an inspiration appears regarding how to raise your earnings or to diversify your earnings, you require to find yourself prepared to execute it with conviction. Murphy termed this aligned action, and it configured itself totally indispensable. It constitutes the action that sprouts naturally after your vibration has modified to abundance. This attitude remains being substantially dissimilar from the desperate action grounded in anxiety. It is act that is confident, crystal clear, natural and precise. Murphy recognized that once those who sought him sustained the appropriate frequency and performed regularly in tune with this vibration, the paths opened in multiple ways that prior seemed radically unfeasible or almost miraculous. The journey that Joseph Murphy offered was substantially a way of true emancipation and transforming. It was not dodging from true obstacles. It represented meeting the concrete reality that you saw yourself as molded by transmitted ancestral resonance and resolving in a conscious way and with power to alter this vibration completely. It characterized itself as recognizing that you carry exceptional potency, not merely to modify your own journey, but to modify the entire path and future horizon of all your family heritage. This recognition is real power in its deepest sense, not the potency merely to conquer or to defeat enemies. Nevertheless, the true power to transcend, to modify vibration, to go beyond ancestral restrictions. This knowledge, Murphy revealed with unshakable conviction, signifies the real liberation which is financial and divine that every soul seeks.